3 tips to stop overthinking. So, first tip is to realize that overthinking is intellectualization. It is not actually problem solving. So, often what I recommend to my clients is to notice the difference between problem solving and pure intellectualization. So, oftentimes, what we're doing when we're overthinking is trying to solve an emotional problem with a cognitive function. This doesn't ever work. And so, the idea is that we want to feel better. And so, we try to think our way out of it. That doesn't actually work. And it just results in more and more and more thinking. So that's step one, is to understand that in many ways, overthinking is very much like a superstition. It's kind of like when we knock on wood. We think that the thinking will sort of like protect us from bad things happening, and it doesn't necessarily. Second step is to time your overthinking. So, one thing that can be really useful for people is to give themselves like some time to think, and that can be 10 minutes, that can be 30 minutes a day. But if you give yourself a time to actually engage in your overthinking, that can help you limit it. Because then when you try to start overthinking throughout the day, you can tell yourself, like, no, it's okay. We're going to have our 30 minutes in the evening to overthink as much as we want. So that can sometimes help diminish this. The third step to diminish overthinking is to act. So the idea here is that the parts of our brain that engage in overthinking is typically the default mode network. So if we disengage from the default mode network and engage with our task network, these two can't exist. They can't work at the same time. And so once we start acting, like we start baking a pie or like actually doing something, and typically it means doing something that requires you to focus. So if you do like a very route task that allows you to still stay in your default mode network, that won't work. But to do something that requires some focus, so a lot of people will find a lot of joy in like woodworking or baking or kind of whatever hobby you like that still allows you to focus enough. Racket sports is a good one because you have to focus on the ball. Like you can't think when the ball is like coming at you. You can't engage in the default mode network. And that's oftentimes why people enjoy these types of sports so much, is because it disengages their default mode network and then they can't overthink. So those are the 3 tips to stop overthinking. And overthinking, especially like default mode network rumination, is tied to a lot of poor mental health outcomes in life. So this is something that you definitely want to try to diminish.